my personal Facebook page. Look at the screen for today's headlines. Look at the screen for today's headlines. Donald Trump calling out Albemarle County Public Schools. What are you making? Donald Trump, the President of the United States, positions Albemarle County Public Schools, Dr. Matthew Haas, the superintendent, in his presidential crossfire. I'd say this is a pretty significant story, would you not, Judah?
No doubt.
We're going to talk Tim Rose, the foundation, the University of Virginia Foundation Chief Executive Officer, retiring on June 30th. We're going to put in perspective the impact of the UVA Foundation from a yearly revenue standpoint and a real estate holding standpoint. We're going to give you some specs for the Virginia Guest House, a behemoth, ladies and gentlemen, that's being constructed in the Emmett-Ivy corridor. The Virginia Guest House should have a very positive impact on this community. We're talking 25,000 square feet of meeting space, 214 hotel rooms, a conference center, a visitor center, a full-service restaurant, a rooftop bar. So much we're going to cover in today's program, including the city of Charlottesville, ladies and gentlemen, and its newly released assessments impacting historically marginalized communities the most, and it's not even close. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, grab your iced coffee, sit back, grab your hot coffee, sit back, get your iced tea. Hey, it's 12:30. Sit back and grab your cold beer and your bourbon and get ready for the I Love CVille show, live on every social media platform known to mankind. So much we're going to cover on the show. Like and share the show. Do us the favor of liking and sharing the show. Judah, when it went live on Twitter, you don't need to delete it now. It says Real Talk with Keith Smith when it goes live on Twitter right now. So that would be an update that you would have to do on the software so it doesn't show that. But we don't have to do that. Let's just keep it live. We don't have to restart. Live on LinkedIn, so excellent right there. And I believe we're live on YouTube, so J-Dubs is on point today. You're going to set the stage, J-Dubs, for the first two headlines. Donald Trump calling out Albemarle County Public Schools. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. There is something about this community that keeps it. I know. We're also, Dennis Canneton is saying on YouTube, the title says Real Talk as well. So does Stephanie Wells Rhodes. Have you made the update there?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't need to cut the connection, but they're letting us know that that's going on. Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you, Dennis. And thank you for the viewers and listeners that are saying this. We appreciate you letting us know. All right, we can rock and roll when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Good Friday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille show. Great to be with you on the final show of the week. It's been a good week for the network. We enjoy connecting with you guys. All we want to do is offer commentary, compelling coverage of Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and the greater Central Virginia region. 300,000 roughly people strong. Albemarle County, the sixth largest county in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The city of Charlottesville, 10.2 square miles. And it seems like our home, Charlottesville, cannot stay out of the national news cycle. Donald Trump, newly minted in his second term as president of our United States of America, is now, ladies and gentlemen, going after Albemarle County Public Schools. Superintendent Matthew Haas and Albemarle County Public Schools in the crossfire of Donald Trump. We'll talk that story in a matter of minutes. Also on today's program, we are going to cover this question. Should surge pricing be used with downtown parking? There is a parking lot that is charging vehicles, trucks, cars, that choose to park within said lot a full day's rate if demand is off the charts. Is that fair? Surge pricing at high demand levels. I want to talk about that on the I Love CVille show. Surge pricing. Remember this phrase, surge pricing. I think this is something that we're going to start seeing in various sectors of business. As small businesses, medium-sized businesses are struggling to stay afloat. Surge pricing in restaurants. Surge pricing with breweries. Surge pricing with parking. Surge pricing with delivery apps. Think about it. We'll unpack it on today's program. I want to highlight Tim Rose. Tim Rose is the retiring CEO of the UVA Foundation. Had the pleasure to sit next to Tim Rose at a UVA, at a Boar's Head professional squash tournament. Just an impressive leader, Tim Rose. Very humble, very, very quiet man. Tim Rose is retiring on June 30th. Very interestingly, Tim Rose has been with the University of Virginia Foundation since 1993, started working with the foundation when he was 32 years old. So Tim Rose has worked with the UVA Foundation, ladies and gentlemen, for 32 years and started working at the foundation when he was 32 years old. Half his life serving the University of Virginia. I want on today's program to put in perspective the significance of the UVA Foundation. Everyone that watches and listens to the show, that walks the streets we call Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia, understands the influence of UVA. But I want to give you actual data, actual significance from real estate holdings, how much they own, actual revenue numbers, the projects that they have come to come to fruition on today's program. This is going to be a very good fodder for these cocktail parties we have going on this weekend. My wife and I are very excited. Tomorrow we have a double date. We have a babysitter. A young man that goes to Western Albemarle High School, a cross-country and track standout. I think he's 15 or 16 years old, is going to watch the Miller Maniacs, the Miller Ruffians. And he's going to come to the house tomorrow, I believe it's 6:30 or 7 o'clock. And he's going to be entrusted with taking care of the boys as my better half and I take the family explorer and drive to downtown, where we will leave it and take an Uber home and enjoy some libations and some quality food at one of the excellent eateries in downtown Charlottesville. Very excited to see what the Alley Light has in store and what some of the other restaurants we have in our itinerary for tomorrow night offers our double date. I want to talk on today's program the specs of the Virginia Guest House, a conference center, a hotel, a restaurant, a rooftop venue, office space, all in the Emmett Ivy corridor. There's no corridor since I've been in Charlottesville, and I've been here for 25 years in August. Came here as the first year at the University of Virginia, and there's no pocket of the city of Charlottesville where I've seen the University of Virginia flex its muscles the most and have the most change or influence than the Emmett and Ivy corridor. When I first arrived as a first year at the University of Virginia, and as my mom and dad, my dad a UVA graduate, were taking my brother and I to football games, to basketball games, or to walk the grounds of Thomas Jefferson's University, we would stay at the Cavalier Inn Hotel. The Cavalier Inn Hotel has since been completely knocked down. We have the School of Data Science in its place. We have the Karsh Institute of Democracy coming, and we have the Virginia Guest House on the near horizon. And I'll offer you a little insight into those projects today on the I Love CVille show. We'll talk Albemarle County Supervisor Diantha McKeel not running. You could add Diantha to the headlines there to spell it out, to make it a little bit longer if you'd like, Judah. She has served Albemarle County for a very long time. 3 consecutive terms for Diantha McKeel. And prior to serving 3 straight terms on the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, the affable, the likable, the personable Diantha McKeel served on the school board. She ran unopposed in Albemarle County in a school board race in 1997. representing the Jack Jewett District, now my district, that won 3 consecutive 4-year terms on the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. Very curious to see who tries to make a claim for the Jack Jewett District, which encompasses Tony Affluent Ivy in Albemarle County. And I also want to close on today's program with a little perspective on what the city of Charlottesville is doing. I think, frankly, a disservice to those in our community that are on the financial margin. City assessments have now hit mailboxes, just like they hit mailboxes in Albemarle County. And it's one thing for somebody like me to say my assessment jumped 23.5% year over year. It's another thing for assessments to hit mailboxes of families that can't keep their lights on, or milk and eggs and food and cereal in their kitchens and cupboards. And right now that's happening in the city of Charlottesville. Double-digit increases in assessments for neighborhoods like Star Hill and 10th and Page. City of Charlottesville tries to say we're all about maintaining diversity. We're all about doing what's right for all members of our community. And then they'll tout the tax relief that's offered. Few people know about it. Is it the fault of the people that aren't taking advantage of the tax relief, or is it the fault of government that's just letting this get out of control, the spending? How about lower the tax rate? The assessments are tied to fair market value. You can control the tax rate. I want to unpack that on today's show. This is the 2025 version of yesteryear's newspaper, various sections of commentary and content on your Charlottesville water cooler, the I Love CVille show. Judah, why don't we go to the studio camera? I'm going to have you set the stage for Donald Trump attacking Albemarle County Public Schools. Props to Carol Thorpe for putting this on our radar. Carol, we appreciate you. She is in the Jack Jewett District and hopefully watching the program today. Before we do, we'll give some props to John Vermillion and Andrew Vermillion. John Vermillion, one of the best sets of sideburns in Central Virginia. The second generation of Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, his parents the first. And now John passing the proverbial torch to Andrew Vermillion. Andrew Vermillion is running the family business on East High Street, online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. And this family embodies the term customer service. I've seen it firsthand. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply is an institution for Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia. And if you want our institutions to hang around and to survive, you support them, folks. You support them, okay? A lot we're going to cover on today's program. Do you want to set the stage, Judah Wickhauer, on Donald Trump in his second term out of the gate, positioning Albemarle County Public Schools in his crossfire?
Mm-hmm. Trump, as most of us probably know, has released quite a few executive orders in his first few days, his first week in office again. I've stated before that I'm not a big fan of executive orders, but here we are. And one of those executive orders is about ending radical indoctrination in K through 12 schooling. And as is reported by CBS 19, this isn't, ALBCO isn't referenced in the actual executive order, but in a fact sheet accompanying the order, there are claims that an Albemarle County school, that Albemarle County schools taught a student that, quote, her achievement was based on her race, unquote. And they also reference Harrisonburg City Public Schools policy on teachers using students' preferred pronouns. The order would withhold federal funding from schools that teach critical race theory or gender-related topics in ways that I guess the president or who ends up in charge of the Department of Education deems to be inappropriate.
Keep going.
I don't know that I disagree with all of this.
Wow.
I mean, in the actual executive order, it talks about students being forced to accept ideologies without question or critical examination. I have a problem with that. I think we should be teaching our students to question and critically examine everything. That will make them smarter students and better people in the long run. It talks about innocent children being compelled to adopt identities as either victims or oppressors solely based on their skin color and other immutable characteristics. I mean, that seems to be the base definition of racism. So looking at it that way, it seems that a lot of these anti-racism policies are at the heart of themselves racist. I mean, if you're teaching kids that because they're white, they're inherently bad, I don't know why. I don't know anyone that wouldn't find issue with that. They also talk about practices not only eroding critical thinking, but also sowing division, confusion, distrust, undermining the very foundations of personal identity and family unity.
Speaking of executive orders, another executive order has hit the news cycle. President Donald Trump is on fire with these executive orders, whether you see that as good or bad. Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares has sent a letter to Virginia Commonwealth University and the University of Virginia directing them to stop performing medical care related to gender transition for children under 19 years of age. Then the UVA Foundation, the UVA Health System, guys, the UVA Health System has sent an email this morning, and this email from UVA Health leadership to its underlings, its upper management, its middle management, and its lower management. This letter, dear colleagues, in response to the recent federal executive order and related Commonwealth of Virginia Office of the Attorney General guidance, UVA Health has suspended all gender-affirming care for patients under 19 years of age. Like many health systems across the country, the University of Virginia and UVA Health are working to analyze and interpret the federal order and related state guidance, as well as monitoring other potential policy changes and impacts to ensure we always deliver the care in accordance with the law. Trump's executive orders are changing the landscape of the country at a local level very quickly.
No doubt.
Very quickly. Donald Trump has put Albemarle County Public Schools in his crossfire. Albemarle County has put UVA Health in his crossfire with these executive orders. I'm telling you right now, these tariffs that are going to be put in play, I'm already hearing from our builder and developer colleagues and those that reach out that listen to this program. They are concerned with labor and they're concerned with cost of goods, both escalating. Labor pool shortening, cost of goods increasing. And I've said right now this is all happening at a time when the lending environment is crickets. I want to stay at the task at hand as you rotate the lower thirds on screen, Albemarle County Public Schools and Donald Trump's crossfire. I've been on the record on this talk show that education for students at the high school level or lower should be about the proverbial ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and not about the politics, not about the ideologies of superintendents, their cabinets, principals, and teachers. There's a reason in this community why private schools are expanding enrollment and booming with interest. Yes, the community is becoming wealthier, which creates a customer base that can afford tuitions. But it's also associated with politics creeping into public schools. Terry McAuliffe lost the governor's race because of this. Glenn Youngkin won the governor's race because of it. Meg Bryce, frankly, lost the at-large spot in the Albemarle County School Board race because of it. Albemarle County did not agree with what a lot of Dr. Bryce was saying, where she said politics shouldn't be a part of these schools. It should be about learning. Donald Trump is now using the White House and his executive platform to say it's about learning. It's not about the politics. Superintendent Matthew Haas is currently right now, with his brain trust, figuring out how to respond. When the president references your school system, you respond. And if you take the hush-hush quiet route, it says something about leadership. It's a story that's only going to gain momentum. I'm curious to see how the school board responds. UVA Health leadership has already issued a statement for another executive order. We have to halt these procedures, suspend gender-affirming care for patients 19 and under. They sent a statement out. Is there a right or wrong here? Or is right or wrong unfair for this situation?
In terms of the releasing of the executive order, in terms of where you fall?
You dig it in the weeds. Is there a right or wrong here? And is right or wrong fair for this situation?
I think it's going to be subjective. I don't think you can say right or wrong definitively. A lot of people are going to push back against this executive order. They're going to say that that we're harming our children. I don't think you can definitively say right or wrong in this case.
Ginny Hu, thank you for the retweet. Viewers and listeners, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this topic? Does the topic continue to gain momentum?
Oh, it's been gaining. This leads, in some ways, back to the beginning of 2022, when parents sued the school board over curriculum in Albemarle County Public Schools.
And how did Albemarle County Public Schools respond to that lawsuit?
Stay out of our school. We'll teach the way we want to.
Yeah. Exactly right. How does this fall on the superintendent's feet or at the superintendent's office door?
He pushed this.
Would seem to be at complete conflict or odds with what the president is trying to do. Fair? Yes or no?
You mean what they've implemented in the schools?
Absolutely.
That's why he called them out, because he specifically doesn't want this in our schools.
Another time in a national news story. There's a school, it was at Harrisonburg, it was also referenced.
Yeah.
Harrisonburg Public Schools.
Yeah, something to do with basically their usage of policy on teachers using students' preferred pronouns.
I'm going to offer a nutshell of how I feel on this. It's not up to teachers and administrators and anyone in the public schools to offer guidance or commentary or direction on what our sons are going to do with their sexuality, their political ideology, and their outlook on anything in life not tied to curriculum and behavior.
Part of the argument.
If
that
I want them to do that, I will say, yes, you can help us with this. But until my wife and I say to the administrators, the teachers, anyone our minor age children encounter on a day-to-day basis when they're not with us, they have to stick to curriculum and behavior. That's it. That's it. One of the reasons we have made the decision to educate our oldest, our youngest is still 2, but our oldest is in first grade, in a private school setting. Right there. Your final thoughts on that and what you were about to say, Judah.
I was just going to say that the school system was stating that we stand by our endorsement of the programs, so on and so forth. meeting the requirements of our anti-racism policy, to which the head of the suit against the schools, Ryan Bangert, ADF senior counsel, stated that he believes that these policies are, in fact, violating basic civil rights.
This isn't the last we will hear of this topic.
Oh, definitely not.
And I'm very curious to see if Albemarle County chooses to double down on this. And this is all happening at the time where academic performance with minority students and financially margined students have slipped at Albemarle County. Albemarle County Public Schools, I want you to hear this. If there's something you take from this first segment of the show, Albemarle County Public Schools is creating an educational infrastructure, an educational learning environment that they swear is what's best for their financially margined students and their minority students. Yet academic performance, SOL scores with financially margined students and minority students show that what they are doing is causing academic regression. Academic regression. And for the school board and Superintendent Matthew Haas, if what you truly want is what's best for financially margined students and for students of color, perhaps you should focus on reading and writing and arithmetic, ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, before you prioritize comfortability and culture. And you would think that's common sense, but in 2025, it's not. And that's all I got to say about that. The next headline, Judah Wickower. The show is watched by quite a few people right now. What's the headline, please?
Next up is surge pricing on Water Street.
Is surge pricing in parking like surge pricing, as John Blair has shared a link, in grocery stores? Is surge pricing in parking like surge pricing we're seeing in third-party delivery apps or Uber or Lyft? When demand is high, the prices go up. Stacey Baker Patty says you're 100% right. Getting love from Suzanne Daly on the program. Logan Wells Claylow, Bill McChesney. That was on the last topic. Vanessa Parkhill says parents absolutely need to be involved when it comes to decisions regarding the health and education of their children. It should be parents making the decision. Kate Schartz, the Queen of Ivy, but how fast will they make changes? All of this seems like it will take forever to back off. Bingo. 100% agree with you, Kate Schartz. Albemarle County is going to slow roll changes. Watch it happen. The public schools will slow roll the changes. Watch it happen. And that's to the detriment of the kids in the schools. Now, topic du jour, or next topic, is surge pricing. Here's the nitty-gritty. There's a lot on Water Street.
The open lot.
The paved lot. It's not the Water Street parking garage.
Right.
Is this the lot across from South Street Brewery? This is the lot adjacent to South Street Brewery, kind of across from where Water Street parking garage is.
Yeah.
Where you have to go through that little like turnstile with the arm to get into it. This lot, ladies and gentlemen, I would encourage you to avoid at all costs, especially at high traffic times in downtown Charlottesville.
Yeah, you might want to check if there's something going on at the Paramount, and decide then whether or not you want to even drive near that lot.
This lot, based on demand in downtown Charlottesville, how do they figure out demand?
Generally speaking, it sounds like when a show at the Paramount is on, when there's any kind of event downtown that might increase traffic.
This is what I'm very curious about. Is the owner of this parking lot, the open parking lot across from the Water Street parking garage on Water Street, are they scouring the schedules and the calendars for the Pavilion, the Paramount, and other publicly available data when determining what days they will host or have surge pricing? Or are they tracking IPs tied to cell phones in the downtown vicinity, similar to a geofence when quantifying surge pricing? Or are they basing it on the amount of people that come through their turnstile to enter their parking lot? There's multiple ways that they can quantify demand. I'm curious of how they're figuring out demand. Is it through open public calendars tied to downtown event places?
I believe that's what it is.
You feeling confident about that?
The lady that is referenced in the article talks about contacting Air Garage, the company that manages the lot, and says that they emailed back very quickly and said, no, that's what we're charging, and the reason for the $30 flat rate for a day rather than just being allowed to pay for the hour was because there was an event at the Paramount.
Okay, fantastic. So they're scouring or scrutinizing calendars with event places like the Pavilion, the Paramount, and other high traffic areas on the mall. Mm-hmm. Okay, good to know. Is this fair to the consumer? If you park in this lot, no matter if it's for 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or the entire day, you will be charged the full day rate of $30. And many folks parking in this lot, when they leave the lot and they check their credit card statement, are caught completely off guard. And I can assure you that Air Garage, this third-party company that's out of market that's managing this parking lot, has language where they will justify the $30 charge and not allow the credit card company to remove it and ask for a refund. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask this question. Is this fair business practice? And is this synonymous or in the same category as when my wife and I are taking an Uber home tomorrow night after a fantastic double date, when I've had a few old fashions and she's had a couple martinis, and maybe we have a nightcap at Zocalo or the Fitzroy, and we Uber home and we go on our phone and we know we're going to pay a little bit more money for the Uber at 10 o'clock at night or 10:30 at night or 11 o'clock at night or whenever the babysitter's time is over. It's going to cost more for us to Uber home than us to Uber there. Is this like surge pricing, as John Blair has shared a link on my LinkedIn page, where grocery stores are starting to utilize surge pricing? Effing crazy. Automation in retail is even worse than you thought, is the headline. New technology is just making shopping more challenging for workers and consumers. It's poised to rip off the most vulnerable. Surge pricing at grocery stores, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready for this. Is this just the world we live in? A world that is still reeling with the collateral damage of COVID?
I'd say this is worse than surge pricing.
Okay.
It's one thing to be charged a little bit more for something, which is bad enough. Like you said, surge pricing often affects the poorest quarters. Imagine if the only time you can shop is after work. And of course, that's the busiest time to shop because a lot of other people with regular 9-to-5 jobs are going to be shopping at the same time. And so if they're all getting hit with that surge pricing, when someone else who doesn't have to work a 9-to-5 job can go and leisurely take a stroll through the supermarket when it's not so busy, that's one thing. And like I said, that's bad enough. But forcing someone to pay a full day's, that's like, if it's normally what? How much an hour?
Well, in the Market Street Garage, the first hour is free, and every hour thereafter is $2.
Yeah, I don't know what it is at the open lot, but being forced to pay $30, and the problem with the person in question in the article is that they were trying to get to a movie, and so after not finding any on-street parking, they quickly pulled in, and it wasn't until after they were using their phone to set up payment that they realized that there was no option to pay by the hour and they were going to be charged $30. So at that point, they either accept it or they deal with the fact that they're probably going to run late because they've got to turn around, leave the lot, and go look for somewhere else to park. It seems like a trick. We got you in the lot. Now, now we're going to tell you that you can't pay by the hour.
Great commentary from Judah Wickower, number one in the family, Deep Throat. His photo on screen, Deep Throat, Deep Throat. He says, I have no problem with surge pricing. That's how we can smoothly match supply and demand so there are not shortages. What is a problem is when the surge pricing is not described or disclosed clearly up front. The new software provider for that lot is extremely sleazy, very hard to understand what you are paying for. Plus, the new software makes you check out, and the design sort of encourages people to forget to check out.
Yeah.
Good commentary from Deep Throat. Number one in the family, John Blair, shares a link. Here's a long article about surge pricing. John Blair's photo on screen. Surge pricing at grocery stores. Watch as traditional shelves are replaced with electronic shelves. In that link that he shared, I will read this verbatim. Kroger. I believe Kroger is the largest grocery chain and company in the world. Let's see. And Kroger owns a number of them. Largest grocery store chain in the U.S. I think it's Kroger, and they own a number of other brands. So evidently it's Walmart, with Kroger a close second. Kroger is number 2, Walmart is number 1. So this is what Kroger is doing. This is effing crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Kroger has rolled out in November and is rolling this out. Electronic price tags, often called electronic shelf labels or ESLs. These digital displays allow companies like Kroger to change prices automatically from a mobile app. This dynamic pricing permits retailers to adjust prices based on their whims. Just like Uber, which I referenced, is able to raise prices during storms or rush hour, retailers like Kroger, using electronic shelf labels or ESLs, can adjust prices based on factors like time of day or the weather. Supermarkets could conceivably mine a shopper's personal data to set prices as high as possible. Here's what that means. You use your phone. And on your phone, you use Apple Pay, you use PayPal to check out, or you use one of the apps associated with the grocery store you go to often. They can mine your phone and your data to determine what you buy most frequently and adjust the pricing in real time when your phone or your IP is within close proximity of the aisle of the goods that you're looking for, and increase the price. Also, furthermore, when the proverbial you-know-what hits the fan, like we have a snowstorm coming and people are anticipating power outages and we all flood to the grocery store for the food and drink that we need to keep us alive during the snowstorm here in Charlottesville, because God knows we all panic.
And all the toilet paper you need for the next year.
Surge pricing can happen at that very moment when the weather forecast looks terrible. Additionally, Kroger and other big box grocery stores with vertically integrated advantages and economies of scale and cash on hand can say, we're going to have pricing at the highest each day between 5:30 and 7:30, when they know
people are getting out of work.
Middle class America, lower class America is getting out of work and going and doing their grocery shopping on their way home. Mm-hmm. This type of surge in dynamic pricing will impact those on the financial margin much more than those in the upper echelons of wealth. A stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad is not going to shop between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m. because they have the convenience of shopping whenever they want, or have more flexibility than someone working a 9 or 10-hour day, tied to a desk and a clock. Ladies and gentlemen, surge pricing is rearing its nasty, nasty, pimply, white-headed head in our community. And now we're seeing in parking in downtown Charlottesville, an 8-block area that does not need any more headwinds.
Yeah. That's the biggest problem, I think, is that this is going to... If I was charged $30 for parking for the day when I needed an hour or two at a parking lot...
You wouldn't come back.
I might not come back.
Conan Owen, watching the program, he owns the Sir Speedy Company locally. The changeover from Park Mobile to Air Garage has been a total mess. If you don't know the price of parking until you get there, you're going to have a lot of people going downtown for a meal and leaving because they find out it's $30 to park. Yeah. Also, unlike Park Mobile, you don't set the duration of your stay. You have to remember to check out when you leave. Otherwise, you get charged the daily max. I've been burned by this twice already, so no more dining out downtown for me. He also says the lot on Market Street between 1st and 2nd. Both lots are owned by the Woodard Properties. Conan, you need to help me out with this, and I should know this. Is the surge pricing lot on Water Street, is that owned by Woodard? Can you put that in the feed? Will you put that on my Facebook comment section? Is this parking lot we're talking about owned by Woodard? Suzanne Daly, which local grocery stores are doing surge pricing? CVille needs to know so that people can take their money elsewhere. This is the first I've heard of it. Kroger's rolling it out right now. Here's another disappointing thing, another disheartening thing, another disheartening element of this. This dynamic pricing at grocery stores. Why would a grocery store do surge pricing or dynamic pricing, Judah?
To make more money.
To maximize profits. Conan confirms this lot that's in question is in fact owned by Woodard Properties. We are going to highlight that it's being managed, the pricing, by, is it Air
Garage.
Air Garage.
One word.
And not Woodard, but Woodard has hired or is utilizing the Air Garage technology. Oof.
Imagine going to the grocery store and watching a digital price counter in front of you on whatever you're planning on buying, all of a sudden go up.
All right. You want a life hack? Viewers and listeners, watch this program for life hacks to potentially get something from the show, right? You want a life hack? Leave your phone in the car.
Yeah, but if they're...
Don't bring your phone with you, and they can't mine your data to see what your order history is and adjust price point tied to it. But this is one of the concerning elements to it. Locally owned businesses, Foods of All Nations, locally owned businesses, Market Street Market, the Crozet IGA, locally owned grocery stores in this community cannot afford dynamic pricing. All this does is give the big box brands, publicly traded grocery stores, even more advantage versus locally owned ones, and further spells doom in a business with slim picking margins. How the F is Raphael at the Market Street Market, also owns the Crozet IGA and a grocery store in Richmond, going to compete with dynamic and surge pricing? He cannot. He's just trying to prevent theft from happening in the grocery store next to us, and the only strategy he had to prevent theft is by locking one of the doors to the grocery store. He said, we have 2 entrances and exits. We're having so much shoplifting, we have to lock one of these.
Yeah.
That's what they did. Suzanne Daly, this happens with gas at Wawa, Judah. I have watched it change in real time in front of me.
Oh, I'd go somewhere else if I saw that.
Janice Boyce Trevelyan, the open lot doesn't give you an hour free. They are over $6 an hour. At a time when the mall is in need of customers, I think this is awful.
Yeah.
This could be a conversation that perhaps downtown leadership may need to have with Woodard Properties. Hint, hint, counselors and city management watching the program right now. Juan Sarmiento, photos on screen. Is surge pricing a fancier word for price gouging? What are your thoughts on this, Jerry? Surge pricing is a sophisticated terminology for trying to take every single fucking dollar out of your pocket and keeping it for corporate profits.
I would say the $30 for the day parking in the lot is 100% gouging.
Understatement. You're running late. Think about this scenario, okay? It's Friday night. No, I'm going to paint a very realistic picture. It's Saturday night. And the Millers have a double date. And they're meeting a couple at 7. The babysitter arrives at 6:30 to watch the Miller Maniacs. after we offer some instruction to the babysitter and kiss the Miller Maniacs goodnight, because the babysitter is going to put the Miller Maniacs to bed, we get out the door and it's roughly 6:36, 6:37. We ask the babysitter to come at 6:30 versus 6:15 because every dollar in the Miller family is important as a one-income family. So we said, okay, let's try to limit it between a 30-minute window when the babysitter arrives and when we're supposed to arrive for dinner. So we're out the door at 6:35, 6:37 p.m. We live in Albemarle County in Ivy. We take the family Ford Explorer and we drive on Friday night, the most popular evening to head downtown.
I thought it was Saturday.
Saturday night, thank you. Saturday night, it's tomorrow, to head to dinner. And as we head to dinner, we realize, oh gosh, everybody else has this plan. Which lots fill out first? Market Street lot, first hour is free. Water Street lot, first hour is free. They're also covered. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. Of course someone's going to want to park in a covered parking garage that's lit and protected of inclement weather. Then the street parking is going to be gone. It's Saturday night. It's a busy night. We're panicking. We're supposed to be there at 7 o'clock. We have to park in this lot. That's all we have. We're rushing. We didn't know that we were supposed to check in and check out. We're just trying to make it to 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock dinner and drinks with our friends at the alley light. We get in our car. We get out of our car. We leave, we sprint to the alley light, we arrive at 7:05, we forget completely about what we just did. When we get back home, after kicking $100 to the 16-year-old Western Albemarle track and cross-country star, after dropping $150 at the alley light for 2 people to eat, dinner and drinks, perhaps we go out for a nightcap, and then we spend $45 to Uber home, surge pricing on Uber, Saturday night, peak time. Next thing we know, we look at the family Visa that, thank God, it's earning cash rewards, and we've spent $300.
Well, you wouldn't pay for parking if you were using
$325? $350? What do you mean we wouldn't pay for parking?
If you
We're driving the Ford Explorer to dinner.
I thought you just said you took an Uber.
Did you listen?
Yeah, you just said taking an
Took
Uber
an Uber home. We leave the car there. You don't want to drink and drive. I had a couple of old fashions. And then a nightcap at Zocalo. I'm not taking the Ford Explorer home.
Well,
Learned the lesson the hard way on that one. Next thing you know, it's a $400 bill. And that could be very realistic. $100 for the babysitter. You know, babysitters are charging 20 Bs an hour. $100 for the babysitter. What's dinner for 2 at the alley light with drinks?
not cheap.
Probably a bone 50. You're at $250 right there. Nightcap at Zocalo. What's that?
Another 50.
$30, $40? Put you at 3 bills, right? Uber on the way home, probably $40, $50. Then the $30 parking fee in the garage. You're flirting with 4 bills for a date night in downtown Charlottesville.
If you leave your car overnight, you're paying more than $30
You can leave your car in the garage overnight.
in the lot.
Market and Water Street. I don't know about that lot. I'm going to avoid that thing like the bubonic plague. Like smallpox in 1883, the Yellowstone spinoff. They kicked people out of the city who had smallpox. They ran them out of town and told them to lay down by the river and die. They wanted nothing to do with it. Juan Sarmiento, surge pricing, price gouging. John Blair, imagine surge pricing next week for Super Bowl Sunday. As Tostitos run out on the shelf, the grocery store just ups the price of the remaining bags of Tostitos. This is a reality that could soon be with us. 100%? 100%. Conan Owen on my Facebook page shares a link to Woodard Properties and parking locations and rates. Wow, Conan, making the program better. I have the link here. They have the parking lot at First and Market Parking. And the parking lot at First and Water Parking. And the parking at South Street. And the parking lot on Cherry Avenue. Good God, I didn't even know this. Jesus. one locally owned company, and I'm not trying to throw shade at this. I'm just highlighting the reality of today's city. Woodard owns the parking lot at First and Market. That's right down the road from us. That's the parking lot kind of by Hamilton's. Yeah. First and Market by the bus stop.
It's across from the park.
Across from the park, thank you. So they own the parking lot at First and Market. They own the parking lot at First and Water Street, which is the one we're talking about. They own the parking lot, the South Street parking lot across from South Street Brewery. And then they own the parking lot on Cherry Avenue, the big one. This company probably controls, can you do a conservative estimate? I couldn't even count. Conan, do you know how many total parking spaces this company would own? Off the top of my head, is it safe to say that there's 100 spaces in each of these lots, conservatively? I mean, the Water Street and South Street parking lots are huge. Deep Throat, do you know this answer? John Blair, do you know this answer? Conan, do you know this answer? Of these 4 parking lots, Cherry Avenue, South Street parking, First and Water parking, and First and Market parking, how many total parking spaces is that? Is it 500? What happens when parking is dominated and controlled by the few? That's a monopoly. That's a monopoly right there. Effing insane. You never think of the monopolistic nature of parking till you have $30 for parking. Next topic, Judah B. Wickower. What do you got?
UVA Foundation CEO
Wow.
Tim Rose.
Any other day, Scott Harris giving a plug for his business. He types, "Why not let Reliable Rides pick you up round trip complimentary tomorrow night in exchange for some love on air? Here's my phone number," and shares a link for his business. Scott, nice. Appreciate you throwing us a bone here for the round trip of on date night tomorrow. I'll throw you a bone. I don't think I've ever met you, sir, but I'll send you a friend request right now. I'll throw you a bone without utilizing the free complimentary transportation that you're offering. Support the folks that work in transportation that are local. Mm-hmm. Are we still on air over there, Judah?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Tim Rose retiring would be the lead of any other show. I sat one evening on one of the pro squash events, one of the pro squash tournaments. The University of Virginia and Boar's Head is the home to a professional squash tournament every year. A purse provided by friend of the program, Jaffrey Woodruff, and a field of players that is a global caliber field. Deep Throat says the one on Water Street should be about 100 spaces. Rule of thumb is 400 square feet per space. It's 4,300 square feet. So how many total spaces do you think Woodard owns across all those lots? Deep Throat, I will share you. I would do the math if I wasn't live on air talking to the viewers and listeners. I'm going to share the link that Conan Owen, the owner of Sir Speedy, just shared with me. I shared it in the comment section in the direct message communication that we're doing on Twitter. It's right there in your inbox. I would love to know your back of the napkin estimate of how many parking spaces that Woodard is monetizing with the link that I just share with you. Now I got to get back to the other topic. I'm trying to stay on track here. There was a squash tournament held every year at the Boar's Head, at the MacArthur Center. It genuinely attracts a field of global caliber. The player who won the squash tournament last year was from Pakistan. Wow. The player who won the squash tournament 2 years ago was from England. In fact, he stayed with us this past time as we offered him a home for a week to stay with us at our house. 2 years ago, I was able to sit next to Tim Rose, the CEO of the UVA Foundation, who mentioned that he watches the I Love CVille show, and I thanked him for watching that. I also said to him from afar, I appreciate the efforts that you have done at the University of Virginia. I didn't realize how significant of an impact that Tim Rose has had on the University of Virginia until I started doing some research. And then I happened to come across an article on news.virginia.edu, the Virginia media platform. Tim Rose has worked at the University of Virginia, ladies and gentlemen, since 1993. He first arrived at this job when he was 32 years old. That means when he retires in June of this year, he will have worked for the UVA Foundation for 32 years, and he started working at the foundation when he was 32 years old. Wow. So half his life working for the UVA Foundation. This man, very humbly, very quietly, and very behind the scenes, is one of the most influential people in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. The UVA Foundation, as we all know, is an endowment that manages billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars for the University of Virginia. I think the number's like 14 billion. Okay? The University of Virginia Foundation is changed dramatically in its influence. When Tim Rose started working in 1993, he said that the UVA Foundation primarily was in charge, primarily was in charge with managing fraternities at UVA. Now the University of Virginia Foundation is the largest landowner. I got to be careful here because the foundation and UVA are two separate entities. The foundation pays taxes and the university does not. I'll say this so I'm accurate. The UVA, the school, and the foundation, those two entities are the largest landowners in Albemarle County and in the city of Charlottesville. That's accurate. The foundation, ladies and gentlemen, owns the Boar's Head Resort. The foundation, ladies and gentlemen, is the driving force behind the development where the old Cavalier Inn used to be located, and they are changing the Emmett Ivy corridor, completely reimagining it. They bought the Ivy Square Shopping Center for like $22 million a couple of years ago. That's the home to Foods of All Nations. They bought the Cavalier Inn to tear it down. The Data Science Center it has been built there. They're also building, and you're rotating these lower thirds, right? The lower thirds that you can rotate here. Make sure you have lower thirds that are specific to what we're talking about. There's 3 that you can put on screen. UVA Foundation CEO Tim Rose retiring, UVA Foundation Revenues and Real Estate Holdings, and Virginia Guest House Specs. You can rotate those 3. The Ivy Emmett corridor, viewers and listeners, is the most significant project I've seen UVA undertake in the city of Charlottesville since I arrived here 25 years ago in August. They tore down a hotel. They purchased a shopping center, Ivy Square. They're going to honor those leases. Curious to see what Ivy Square becomes eventually. But in place of the Cavalier Inn and building up until like the friend of the program, Derek Bonds, Moe's Barbecue, a business we helped broker. He ended up purchasing it. We helped guide that purchase. The foundation has reimagined that stretch and has turned it into what I've dubbed the Academic Village 2.0. For example, the Ivy and Emmett intersection is 14.5 acres. It was purchased by the foundation in multiple acquisitions over a 20-year period of time. It's the home of the School of Data Science, which was funded by Jeffrey Woodruff. It's the soon-to-be home of the Virginia Guest House, a hotel and conference center featuring 214 guest rooms, 25,000 square feet of meeting space, a UVA visitor center, and a full-service restaurant and rooftop venue. The Karsh Institute of Democracy will also move into a new 65,000 square foot building on this site. The Karsh project is expected to be completed in the summer of 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, the UVA Foundation, which Tim Rose oversees as the CEO, has grown considerably since it first started in attic space in a completely different location. Tim Rose highlights that we were in the attic of what was formerly known as Betty Booker's boarding house. Booker House sits at the corner of University Avenue and Madison Lane, just across the street from the Rotunda. Now they're moved right next to the Boar's Head and Tony, sexy, awesome offices where the foundation operates out of. The foundation has more than $1 billion in assets. More than $1 billion in assets. I'm very curious for this article that's been put on virginia.edu. It says it manages more than $1 billion in assets. I'm curious of that management over $1 billion in assets and an endowment that's $14 billion. Why are they not managing the entire $14 billion endowment? That's a genuine question for the foundation, Tim Rose, the writer of this article, and any viewer and listener that's watching the program. The article on virginia.edu says they manage more than $1 billion in assets. Annual revenues north of $100 million. Ownership and management of 5,000 acres of land, and building totals approximately 2 million square feet in size. This is an effing behemoth. A behemoth. There's few entities and organizations in the Commonwealth of Virginia that own this type of portfolio or have this kind of AUMs, asset under management.
Yep.
And its CEO is retiring in June. And he started in 1993 when the foundation was legitimately working out of an attic space. And now the same organization purchased a 5-star resort, reimagined the Ivy Emmett corridor, completely reimagined it, is the largest landowner in Albemarle County in the city of Charlottesville, along with its counterpart, the University of Virginia, and is very behind the scenes changing the makeup of Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville. Most would say for the good. Some, like Michael Payne, would say potentially for the bad. Salute to Tim Rose, who's retiring. Colette Sheehy is also retiring. So you're going to have some change at the foundation, guys. Colette Sheehy, the UVA Senior Vice President for Operations and State Government Relations. She announced her retirement just a little while ago. Congrats to Tim Rose. Deep Throat. Thank you, Deep Throat. God, Deep Throat, good guy right here. He says Uvemco is managing the endowment. The foundation is managing that $1 billion in the real estate. Thank you, Deep Throat. One of our tenants just slid rent under the door over here. We got to pick up that check when the show's over, J-Dubs. He says total spaces, he would estimate somewhere between 150, I'm doing some quick math, 170. So north of 200 on total spaces, he says. Back of the napkin, north of 200 for Woodard. There's two, Mark Brown with the Water Street parking garage and Woodard with these 4 lots have cornered parking and monetized it. And some would say trying to wring out as much money as possible. Parking, not a public utility. Good Lord, it's 1:35. I've been talking for 65 minutes. I gotta go make some money. Anything you want to add to this? And what's that? Do we still have another topic, Diantha McKeel?
We got Diantha choosing not to run another race, and city real estate taxes, tax increases, really impacting the.
I really wanted to get to that topic, but I wanted to.
Poor areas most.
I got to spend a significant amount of time on that topic. All right, I'm going to offer Diantha McKeel. I can do in a couple minutes, and that's not me throwing shade to the supervisor. That's not running for a 4th consecutive term on Albemarle County's Board of Supervisors. She's in the Jack Jewett district, which is now my district. She said she's not going to run for re-election, which would be her 4th straight term on the Board of Supervisors. She was also on the school board before that in Albemarle County. You're talking about one of the most influential people in Albemarle County over the last generation, with her time on the school board and 12 consecutive years on the Board of Supervisors. That's a generation. School board and 12 consecutive years on the supervisor. Who's going to take the spot for the Jack Jewett district? This is why it's an intriguing storyline, because you have one individual in Mike Pruitt in the Scottsville district who's extremely progressive in his outlook on things. Will the Jack Jewett district elect a supervisor that is similar in ideology as Mike Pruitt, which could change some of the dynamics of Albemarle County, most specifically its land use policies? 5% of Albemarle County is allocated to development, residential and commercial. Diantha McKeel said on the show here, on this network, in that seat right next to me, that she is not in favor of expanding the developmental area in Albemarle County until that 5% is utilized in full capacity, and currently it is not. So this is an open seat that if someone runs that has a complementary ideology of Mike Pruitt, you may see the board potentially change in makeup. Because Jim Andrews in the Samuel Miller district, his seat is also up for grabs. Ned Galloway has indicated, I mean, let's read the tea leaves. Ned's going to run again. He hasn't made an official announcement. Do you want to put a prop bet on that, whether Ned runs again? I'm taking yes, he will.
No.
I'll bet you $100. I'll bet you a bottle of brown juice for the bar over here that he runs again. You're not taking the bet, okay? He's going to run again. Will Jim Andrews run again? I don't really know Jim Andrews. Diantha is not. I will bet you $100 also, or a bottle of brown juice, that Michael Pruitt is lobbying people to run to the Jack Jewett district seat. The Gillikin gang is already doing that. Livable CVille, the Gillikin gang. This is a big story to follow. I will save this topic. And you're rotating the right lower thirds on screen? I get that feedback the most from for Judah Wickhauer, is rotating the headlines. I probably hear that a few times a day. City assessments came out, and those assessments, ladies and gentlemen, the most significant upticks year over year in assessments have hit 10th and Page, Star Hill, and the Meadows neighborhoods the most, the historically black and financially margined neighborhoods. And of course they will. When you draft a new zoning ordinance that makes dirt opportunistic and development opportunistic, the neighborhoods that have the most affordable land and most affordable homes to purchase are the ones that are going to be targeted by speculators. And when they're targeted by speculators and they're purchased, then it's going to set a comp or market values for future assessments. And those future assessments are a direct result of the opportunistic nature of the new zoning ordinance that is doing the opposite of creating affordability. If anything, it's creating a lack of affordability.
Those assessments are up on screen.
Oh, you put them on screen. Thank you to Deep Throat for sending those our way. We'll talk about this on Monday. When you allow, what is the phrase? The so-and-so to rule the henhouse?
Letting the fox rule the henhouse?
Does that work? I don't know. When you allow the line cooks to rule the kitchen, of course you're not going to get the best output with your menu. And that's basically what City Council has done. They allowed a small population of activists to bully them into policy that is not what's best for the city. And those that are paying for it are the ones on the financial margin. It reminds me of an old African proverb, Judah. This is an old African proverb. When elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers.
Leave the fox guarding the hen house.
I'm not sure that one works here. So my reference to that is not accurate. But this one certainly is. When elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. And those that are suffering now are those that are on the financial margin. Judah Wickower, yours truly, Jerry Miller, on a week of content that has absolutely crushed it. Thank you kindly for joining us. So long, everybody.